Hi, and welcome to How to Create a Digital Notebook Using Google Slides. Now, digital notebooks are the same thing as an interactive notebook, so you can call it either way you want. Here's an example of the digital notebook that we use for our grease unit. This is the same idea as interactive notebooks that you might use where students cut and paste their work into their notebook. It's just using the computer or Google Slides to do it. So on this notebook, this is our first section of our ancient Greece unit, and it's getting to know the Greeks. The topics we have here are religion and myths, geography of Greece, the early Greeks, Greek city-states, and governments of Greece. So before you start this, you probably would need to organize all of your topics so that you can fit them in your notebook. The way that we have this set up is that each of these tabs is a link to the different topics. So if I tell a student today you're working on the early Greeks, all they have to do is click on early Greeks and it'll take them directly to that slide. It's not something you have to do. You could very easily say to go to slide 8 or find the slide titled early Greeks, but it's a quick and easy way to navigate. Okay, so if you look at our example, getting to know the early Greeks, you'll see that there's different things that we have. So there's a learning goal and notes that students can add in to help them remember what they need to learn. And then we have it set up in different ways. If you haven't watched the video on how to make a background, a digital worksheet, that might be helpful when you're creating this notebook. Each of these backgrounds each of these worksheets in the digital notebook is a background. So that means students can't move any of the backgrounds around. The only thing that they could possibly move are the text boxes. So different examples of ways that you could use this is something like this. So students would read in the textbook and take notes. So the purpose of myths, what are the 7 purposes of myths? You might do something like a map activity. So here they're circling where the different groups are from for the Trojan War. Over here is a reading with accompanying questions. And then over here is just simple definitions that they need to know for their quiz. So this is a pretty cool and engaging way for students to learn about and record their learning into an online format, which would be helpful if you are working on a blended classroom or working remotely from home. All right, so how do we do this? The first thing that we want to do when we create this notebook, is to make it look like a notebook. And so we need to make sure that our page setup looks like a notebook. And so we go to File, Page Setup, and yours is going to start looking like this. It'll look like a standard slide. But what you want to do is make it look like a notebook page by going to Custom and creating an 8.5 by 11-inch slide. And so all of your slides are going to look like a notebook page. Now, one question that you might have is, well, some of these slides are the text is a little small. And so you're going to want to train your kids to zoom in. So you can go to Zoom and you can make it as zoomed in as possible. Oops. They could go up close as that or just 100%, and then it's easier to read and type. And you can include more on your textbook on your notebook by doing that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make it look like a notebook, and we're going to do that by making our background look like notebook paper. And so we'll go to background and we're going to choose an image. Now you may have an image downloaded to your computer, or you can do a Google image search, which is what I've done here. and I did a Google image search just for notebook paper. And I'm going to go with the very first one, simple, and I am going to add it to the theme, and that makes all of my slides look like they have a notebook paper background. And I can change them up. As you can see, now they're all going to look like notebook paper, but on our example, we did change them up. So some of the backgrounds we made look different. Some of them still just look like notebook paper. Some of them are a mixture, and that's just however you like it to look. Okay, so now I've got all my background pages looking like notebook paper, and I'll give it a title. So I'm going to go to text box. I'm going to pick a fun font. I'm going to make it nice and large. And this is getting to know, this is actually Greek Legacies. So this is my Greek Legacies digital notebook. And since this is a title page, I might add an image. So I'll find a cool picture of some Greek architecture. Here's a great one. And I'm going to add it onto my slide. And then size it and just make it look however you like it to look. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go back and take a look at our example. And I want to create my tabs. So there's my tabs. And remember, my tabs link to different slides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing a text box, and this is going to be a text box that I'm going to turn because I want it to look like my font is moving vertically. So I'll make it vertical. Oops. Try and make it straight, which I am not doing a very good job of. And then I'm going to line it up so it looks like a tab here. I also like to color code, so I'll start by color coding that one. And I'm going to make this a link. So I'm going to insert a link, and I'm linking this to slides in this presentation, not a website. So my slide 2 is going to be my first slide that I'll link. So I could either do next slide since it is the next slide, or slide 2. Okay. And so slide 2 is going to be my link, and my topic will be, let's see, I'll make my font a little bigger so it's easier to read, and it'll be architecture. Okay, so now when I click this link and I'm presenting, oops, let me move it over a little bit so that you can see it. Okay, and when I present, I click that link, it takes me to slide 2, and slide 2 is going to be all about architecture. And so I can give it a title, Greek architecture. And I'm going to want to include information maybe about Ionic, and they'll define that, Doric, and Corinthian columns. And so maybe I'll have them insert an image of each of these. And so I'm going to give directions here. Find an example of each of the three types of Greek column and insert. Okay, so what I want students to be able to do is to type their definitions right in here, but I don't want them to be able to move around what I have as directions or my words. And so what I need to do is make this a background. For each slide that you create, maybe this one's a flow chart, maybe this one's a map activity, you're going to want to do these steps. And so you create this so that it can't be edited and then add in text boxes later. So I've created the work that I want students to do. I would probably, if I were going to be spending more time on this, add some images, make it prettier. But once I'm done, I'm going to go to File, Download. And I want to download this as an image because what I'm going to do is upload it once it's an image as a background. And so I go to File, Download, and I'm going to PNG image. Once I do that, it downloads. And so I've downloaded this. It's now an image. And I'm going to go to, I can delete all this now that it's downloaded as an image. And I'm going to go to Background, choose Image, and I'm uploading an image from my computer. Now you'll have a downloads file, and you'll see that I've just downloaded this today. Select Open. And I'm just clicking Done because I only want this to be added to one slide. Okay, so now I can't move this around. This is a background, it's just a picture. So I'm going to add text boxes so that students can type a definition of ionic, and I'll add text here so they know where to type, and I'll do the same for Doric, I'll do the same for Corinthian. And so the only thing that the students can edit on this page is ionic. And so in this way, there's going to be no sort of, oh, I accidentally deleted those directions. I didn't know we were supposed to do that. It can't be changed. So again, there's multiple steps to this, but it's worth it. You create your background, download it as an image, and then add it as a background. That way it can't be edited or changed. For each slide, you're going to include tabs for each slide. So I might have another tab for Greek government because that's another legacy of Greece, and so on and so on. And once I'm ready to go ahead and share my digital notebook with my class, there's a couple different ways that I can do it. An easy way to do it is to go to my class. I can go to my Google Classroom, and I can add it to my classwork, or I can add it to my stream for students to complete. Another way that I can do this is by changing and then sharing. So if students are going to get this, and I want them to have it as a template, so something that they can edit but not change, then there's a couple different ways I can do that. Okay, so the first way is to erase everything after the last backslash, and then you're going to change the type of slide that it is. It's no longer edit. Instead, I'm going to make it a template by typing in template \preview. Once I do that, it's going to look different for the kids. And so now when they click through it, it's a template that they can use, and it makes a copy for them. And so students are working off my template. And if I were going to do it this way, I would have students share this in a folder to me. So a really quick and easy way to share this again is just Google Classroom. Add it to Google Classroom, go to your classwork, create, assignment, give it a title, add it in, you want to make sure that you make this so that each student gets their own copy and then assign it. The other way that you can do this is by making it a template, and I did that just by changing the type of document that it is. Instead of having it \edit, again, I did \template \preview. And this is a handy tip to know how to do, because you can do lots of different things by creating templates for students that then they would have to change or edit on their own. So this is a really quick tutorial on how to create a digital notebook. There's lots of different things that you can do so that students are interacting more with their work. I hope that you found this informational and helpful, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks!